In Photoshop, there's something called layers, and there are a lot of different variations and ways to work with layers. So I'm going to keep these videos short and to the point. This layers video is just about the layers panel. So if you don't see the layers panel, you want to go to the window drop down and find the layers panel. What you'll see here, if you have a file that you've just opened, is a background layer. There might not be anything on it if you made a new file. And the background layer is the equivalent of having a desk that you're working on that you can draw on the desk, or you can bring in pieces of paper or pieces of acetate to work on top of the desk so that you're not drawing directly on the desk. The benefit of that is also that you can rearrange the layers of paper or acetate that you have, or even think of it in terms of freeform collaging shapes. So the layers that we have starting with background are as a default locked. So you can unlock this by clicking on that lock and make it a free floating layer, but I'll come back to that. What I want to show you is the basics of how to add a new layer or delete layers. So I want to add a new layer. I hit this plus button, and what I'm left with here is an empty layer that has transparency, so it's basically like a piece of acetate, and the default name is layer 1. If I want to change the default name, I can double click on it and call it, let's call it yellow circle for what I'm about to draw on it. So I'm going to go over here and pick a yellow color and just freehand draw a yellow circle. So I have not covered the word layers with that circle. I've put it on its own layer, and therefore if I take that eyeball off to make it invisible, you can see that it's still there. If I wanted to draw something else on its own layer, I would have to add another layer, plus sign here. I'm going to change the color to this blue and draw another circle. So this circle looks like it's opaque, which it is. It has soft edges because of the type of brush that I'm using, and I can't see any yellow through it, nor can I see any of the word layers through the yellow circle. If I wanted to delete this layer for some reason, all I have to do is click on the layer that I want to delete and hit the trash can symbol, and it'll go away. I'm going to make another new layer, and I'm going to change it to blue square, and I'm going to draw a blue square. Okay. I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to call it green triangle. I'm going to get the color green from my swatches, or double click on my chip to create a green, and draw with my brush tool a green triangle. And you'll notice that they are fully opaque. I can't see anything beneath them. Last one that I'm going to draw is going to be a red X. Red X. Go ahead and draw it and put it in right here. Okay. So I have 5 layers, the background, and then these 4 geometric shapes. Each one of these can be moved independently, and I can also change the order in which they're falling on the image. On top of that, I can change their transparency and their image modes, but I'm going to start with moving them around using the first tool in the toolbar, which is the Move tool, to move them around. Now you'll notice all I have to do is click on them to move them. If I try to move the background, nothing happens. Nothing's happening to the background because the background is locked. So I'm going to leave it that way, but that's why nothing is moving in the background. So it is relatively easy to move these things around because they're simple shapes. I can see exactly where they are and I can click on them. But if for some reason you can't move the layer that you're clicking on because of a transparency issue, you can go to the upper left-hand corner and uncheck the auto selection option that keeps me from auto selecting it. So I might want to be moving the blue square right now, but when I click on this, it moves the green triangle because the green triangle is a layer that I'm working with. So you have those two options and you get used to those pretty quickly. The next thing that I want to show you in this video is going to be about layering different kinds of modes together. Before I do that and move on to that next video, I'm just going to show you about rearranging the order of things. So we can see pretty well here that it's a red X, a green triangle, a blue square, and a yellow circle. But what if I want that yellow circle to move up under the red X? Well, all I have to do is click on that layer and drag it in placement to the spot that I want it to be in. There are other ways of doing that, keyboard shortcuts, etc. But for now, let's just focus on what works easily, and moving things around like this works easily. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about opacity and some of the mode settings that you can play with layers, and also some of the advanced options in a third video.